what are the odds of 14 cards being dealt from a pack of 52, with 7 being red and 7 being black?
I don't know whether I've got a sore head this week, but are you sure that's a mystery hour question?
Well, it is, because
it's a mystery.
Wanted to know one, I wanted to know if it's possible to work it out.
It is possible to work it out.
What the odds were. Because
you've got 26 red cards and 26 black cards in the pack, right?
Yeah.
So
the pack is shuffled, right? And then you've got an alternate dealing. Right? Yeah. And I spoke to my son-in-law, and he reckons it's something like perhaps 16,500 to 1. But
where did he get that
from? It's got to be more than that.
Where did he get that from?
Sorry?
Where did he get that figure from?
He worked it out mathematically, he said.
All right. And is he a reliable character, Bernie, normally?
Son-in-law has got a PhD in, I think it's astronomical particle physics, and my daughter's got a PhD in astronomical wave physics or something like that.
Is that how they met?
Sorry?
Is that how they met?
Yeah, they met at university, yeah.
Flipping heck. So, I'm very flattered that you're asking me.
I'm asking a member of the public, James. You only write words, you don't do any numbers, do you?
You're not wrong there, but I think if he was my son-in-law with those qualifications, I think I probably would have left it there. Bernie.
Oh, no, I can't. I've got to get a second opinion.
So what are so you've got 52 cards, well shuffled. You deal 7, 2 lots of 7, and the first lot's all black and the second lot's all red. What are the odds?
Yeah.
All right.
I couldn't believe it, and what I did, I showed my wife. Yeah. I don't think she could believe it, and then I thought, I'll take a photograph and I'll bounce it around the family and see what they say. Not much reaction, really.
Bloody ingrates. Seriously. Cheers, Bernie. I like that question a lot. What are the odds? What are the odds? Seriously. I've just remembered something from childhood that is I can't. So I played Patience once and kept the pack, and Mum was playing bridge with a friend, and she must have shuffled the pack really badly, and she ended up with
financial future. Just text DEBT to 66777. Text DEBT to 66777 now. Terms apply. May not be suitable for all. Can affect credit rating. Free advice at moneyhelper.org.uk.
Romance scammers target people online. They spend a long time getting close to a victim, then they ask for financial help.
I felt utterly humiliated. I never thought I'd let something like this happen to me. I lost £150,000, for which my bank offered me £50 compensation because their system had let me down. The best thing I did was contact CEO. They got all my money back, plus interest.
If you've been scammed, the system has failed you. We can help you get your money back. Visit celsolicitors.co.uk today.
Sal loves camouflage print. She's decorated her entire house with it.
Here, boy.
Even her pug Billy has a camo coat.
Billy!
After she finished her renovation, she transferred her outstanding balances onto her Barclaycard, interest-free. Now she's found a way to pay down her debt. Sadly, she can't find anything else. What you buy is your business. Helping you pay less interest is ours. Search Barclaycard balance transfers to find out more. Make money work for you. 28.9% APR variable, subject to application, financial circumstances, and borrowing history. T's and C's apply.
This is it.
Level 23.
Level 24. 25.
Final.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Help,
guys.
Right, I need power. Turbocharge your gaming and reduce lag with EE Game Mode.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And boost your broadband, even when everyone's online. Search EE Game. EE Game Mode requires EE Smart Hub Plus.
At Eon Next, we believe life's better when you know you can choose a fixed energy tariff where you'll be safe in the knowledge of what energy price you're paying for the duration of your contract. We think that makes energy a little bit better. And that's why we're always working towards helping you get more out of your energy. So visit eonnext.com today. T's and C's apply. Smart meter required if eligible. Exit fees apply.
Miss
Mystery Hour on LBC with James O'Brien.
It is 12:49. You're listening to James O'Brien on LBC, where questions that still need answers. We've got no news on kippers. There must be some people listening. John said that Bernie, who rang him with the playing card question, should have found Carol Waterman last week. Yeah, you're not wrong, actually. And there, I think that Bernie might be owing his son-in-law a mild apology there for seeking. Well, do you have to apologise for seeking a second opinion? I don't know, but someone must know why there seem to be supply issues with kippers, and it can't be Brexit because we would catch, or can it? Maybe they were caught by foreign fleets, and they're of course now subject to import checks or whatever. You remember that we were going to free ourselves up by introducing loads more red tape, the sort of Jacob Rees-Mogg school of logic. Maybe there is a Brexity answer to it, but I kind of hope not. Any new elements? You are allowed to ring in and say no, but you do need the qualifications. You do need the qualifications to say no. We definitely haven't discovered any new elements through space exploration. How on earth would a biologist be able to claim that we know the makeup of a dinosaur's hormones? What would they have found that would allow them to do that? How do they calculate dog years, as in the comparison to human years? And Bernie's question about cards. There's quite a lot to get through. It's 10 to 1 already. Marcus is in Westminster. Marcus, question or answer?
Answer.
Carry on.
Yeah, the answer to have any elements been discovered in space is no. But, incredibly, the second most common element in the universe, helium, was discovered on the Sun before it was discovered on the Earth. It was actually discovered from a back garden in Wimbledon in about 1860.
How?
There was a total eclipse of the Sun, and when you do that, you can actually see the cool outer atmosphere of the Sun, and it was possible to spot helium because every single element, and there are 92 naturally occurring elements from hydrogen the lightest to uranium the heaviest, each of them generates light at particular wavelengths. It's rather like a fingerprint. I mean, we all know that sodium, for instance, in sodium lights in our streets is yellow, and there's characteristic light from every element, so it was discovered. I mean, the incredible thing about helium is the person who discovered that it was the second most common element is a woman called Cecilia Payne, and everybody has forgotten her name. She wrote the most important astrophysics PhD of the 20th century, and nobody knows her name. And I actually wrote an article about her in New Scientist, trying to get her the credit that she deserved. And when the magazine was printed, I turned to the page, and they'd only printed the corner of her hat. There'd been a cock up at the printer. So Cecilia Payne, an English woman in the 1920s, was the person who discovered what most of the universe is made of, which is hydrogen and helium.
Agree. And do you think that oversight is partly down to the conversation we were having in the first hour? It is a sort of low-level misogyny, like a touch of the Ada Lovelaces, perhaps.
Definitely. She was English. She was at Cambridge. She couldn't do a PhD at Cambridge, so she went to Harvard, where she was paid on equipment expenses, and she worked for a very famous American astronomer. I've just written a book about black holes, actually, which will come out in June. It's called A Crack in Everything. So
it's a good title.
It is a good title. I stole it from Leonard Cohen.
Yes, I thought you did. There is a crack in everything. It's how the light gets in, is it? No.
That's right.
Yes,
that's the line. Yeah, which I thought was very poetic.
It's a beautiful. Well, he is a poet, isn't he, Leonard?
People write books on black holes tend to call their book Black Holes. So I thought I'd try with something else.
Have a round of. I hate people who plug their books on this show, Marcus. It's such cheeky behaviour. Have a round of applause. Oh, really? Thank you. Stay safe. Lewis is in Hurley. Lewis, question or answer?
Answer, James.
Carry on. Yes. How do they know?
So basically, cortisol is part of a group of hormones called glucocorticoids, and these are common across all animals, like fish, reptiles, birds, humans, mammals, and obviously animals like fish and sharks predated the dinosaurs, and they have this stress hormone
Oh, so it's just a simple deduction. Yeah, so they must have had these stress hormones.
Well, the odds of them not having it would be astronomically small. Not impossible, but it's basically zero.
Dismissible. Qualifications?
I have a degree in medical genetics.
That'll do. Round of applause for Lewis, please. Helen's in Manchester. Helen, question or answer?
It's an answer, James.
Carry on.
I'm an answer about the dog question. How do you know about dog age equivalent? Okay, if you start off with a dog that's a puppy, if you imagine that's a newborn baby.
Yes.
So you know that that's the equivalent.
Yes.
Usually what happens the first couple of years of a dog's life, it's usually 2 to 2.5 years. That's when they grow to be fully grown in size. They also become usually what they call fully mature. So they've gone from being a puppy to an adolescent dog.
Right.
So that space of time, you can easily tell that that's going from being a newborn to being the human equivalent of a teenager. Make sense so far?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But how do they translate it into human years? Is the question.
So that way, you know that if it took a dog from 0 to say 2.5, they've become in human years about 13, 14 years old.
Yeah. There it is.
So you divide one by the other, if that makes sense. However,
yeah, carry on.
Dogs don't actually carry on maturing at the same rate as human beings. It's easy to see because obviously in 2.5 years, a human being doesn't mature to be a teenager, whereas in 2.5 years, a dog matures to that teenage stage.
Yes.
So at that point, your dog's maturity rate starts to slow down a little bit.
Okay.
Okay? And then different dogs, different breeds, different sizes, they're going to live to different lengths.
So it's a measurement to full length, really, is the root of the answer. What are your qualifications?
I run a pet care and dog walking business. I've done various qualifications in dog walking, dog.
That'll do. Have a round of applause. I've got to crack on because I want to squeeze in another before close the play. Thank you, Helen. Steve's in Thurrock. Steve, question or answer?
It's an answer.
But do it really quickly.
Yeah. To the 7 black cards, 7 red cards.
Yeah. What's the sum?
It's 1 in 14,030.
How did you calculate that?
Well, there's 26 black cards. There's 52 cards in a pack. So 26 divided by 52. You multiply it by 25 black cards left. So there's 51 cards. So and so on and so forth. And then when you get down to the red cards, you go back up to the 26 divided by 45 cards left in the pack. Go right the way down. And you end up with 14,030.558.
Is that about 0.007?
0.007.
Yeah. 0.007. Qualifications?
One of the few things that I remember for my A-level statistics.
That's another E for me. Actually, well, have a round of applause. I've no idea whether you're right or wrong, mate. You lost me pretty much from the start, which is not a criticism of you. I'm just a bit tired and rubbish at maths. Thank you. The reason I'm tired is I was on stage last night, and I'm on stage again tonight in Southampton. As we have a few people asking if it's still going ahead, given the state of the weather, but it is. As we know, as far as we know, it is all going ahead. But if you can't make it, there is a facility on the website to return your tickets and then say, because it's all sold out, like all the gigs for the new book, and then someone who can come could buy them. I'm going to give the board game to John because he didn't get an answer about his kippers, and I feel he suffered enough. So the Mystery Hour board game is on its way to John. You can get your own, of course, at mysteryhour.co.uk. And the new book, which I have mentioned quite a lot, but oddly not this week, How They Broke Britain, is something of which I'm incredibly proud, not least because it's dedicated to my late father, is published today and available in all good bookshops. Thank you to everyone who's already bought it. It's gone one. If you missed any of today's show, you can listen back on Catch Up on Global Player or on the Whole Show podcast, where you'll also find all of LBC's shows to catch up on, as well as all of Global's live radio stations. Download Global Player for free from your app store or head to globalplayer.com. Coming up at 4 on LBC, it's Tom Swarbrick, but now it's time for Sheila Fogarty.
Thank you, James. Congratulations on publication day. Best of luck with it. From 3 today, I want to talk about noise pollution. I've had a few sort of noisy neighbour situations that I've had to deal with, and one I think probably came close to affecting my health.
certainly my mental peace of mind version of health. But have you had a situation where the noise has been so bad near to where you live that it has indeed harmed your health, or worse still, you've had to move house? 2, we will at some point reflect on that Beatles single coming out, just for a bit anyway. But I want to talk later about being learning disabled and trying to access health services in particular. But we start with those revelations by Helen McNamara in the COVID inquiry and toxic misogynistic cultures at work.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 1 o'clock, hundreds of schools have been closed in the south of England as a result of Storm Ciaran. Winds of more than 100 miles per hour have also left thousands of homes without power and caused travel disruption. A major incident has been declared in Hampshire and the Isle of Wight because of the expected pressure on local services. Flooding expert Mary Donner has told LBC News many people aren't prepared for flooding.
First of all, the drainage system is woefully inadequate and can't cope. We've all paved over and tarmacked over our drives, so there's nowhere for the water to go. So even if you don't live near a river, a stream or the sea, the chances are, if it's raining hard in your localised area, that you are at risk of flooding too.
More than 80 flood warnings are in place across the UK, the vast majority in England. Rishi Sunak has met the head of the UN to discuss the conflict in the Middle East. Antonio Guterres is one of the attendees at the government's Artificial Intelligence Summit at Bletchley Park. Representatives from 27 countries are taking part in discussions alongside tech leaders. The Prime Minister says people owe it to their children to ensure AI develops in a safe and responsible way.
It's important to not be alarmist about this. There's debate about this topic. People in the industry themselves don't agree and we can't be certain. But there is a case to believe that it may pose risks on a scale like pandemics and nuclear war. And that's why, as leaders, we have a responsibility to act, to take the steps to protect people. And that's exactly what we're doing.
A woman in Australia has been charged with the murder of 3 people. She's accused of poisoning with mushrooms. 49-year-old Erin Patterson is also accused of attempting to murder a 4th person at a family lunch in the state of Victoria. All 4 people were admitted to hospital the following day, with only 1 survivor. New analysis suggests the introduction of London's clean air zones have significantly improved air quality. Both the low emission and ultra low emission zones have helped to reduce particulate matter as well as nitrogen dioxide levels. The study was carried out by the University of Bath. And the Bank of England has left the base rate of interest unchanged at 5.25%. Most economists had expected the decision. In the city, a short time ago, the FTSE 100 was trading up 96 points at 74.38. The pound buys $1.22 and €1.14. LBC weather: Storm Ciaran bringing heavy rain to large parts of the UK. Very strong winds in southern England. A high of 13 degrees. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Amelia Cox.
There are some things you just can't control, like your son's over-enthusiasm for the recorder. Great work, sweetheart! But taking control of your heating bills? Hive got this. You could save money on your heating bill with the Which Best Buy Hive mini thermostat and app. Set budgets, track your usage, and control your heating from anywhere. Search Hive Smart Thermostats today. Subscription required for some in-app features.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Shelagh Fogarty.
Hello, good afternoon to you if you're just joining us here at LBC. I want to return to the subject, or a subject, part of what was raised during the senior civil servant Helen McNamara's evidence to the COVID inquiry. She talked about a kind of macho culture, a toxic misogynistic culture. She was clearly, there was hard evidence for it in the form of emails. She was on the receiving end of pretty toxic misogynistic behaviour and language herself, violent and misogynistic language, as she described it when she was giving evidence. And at one level, that is bad enough just to be in the company, in the atmosphere of such a place, and having to go in and work in such a place every day. And I don't think I've ever experienced anything as bad as what she was describing, but I've certainly over the years worked in at least 2 places where, I'm going back a good few years here, where there was a central figure at the heart of things. In both cases I have in mind it was a man, and everything in terms of the atmosphere would flow from his mood or his whims or his temper, and I remember I was very young when this happened, and I remember thinking how idiotic he was. I mean, he had power, so that was problematic, but how idiotic it all was, really. And I didn't stay in that place for very long at all. And there was another occasion where I worked, and I'm pretty confident and resilient, and even when I was very young, I wouldn't hang around in a situation where something like that was happening. But then again, the problem with that is I should have been able to hang around in those places, but for choices of my own about feeling happy at work, I didn't. And you shouldn't have to make a choice like that because of somebody else's poor behaviour. And there was another occasion when I was reminded of it actually when Helen McNamara was describing how the women in the group, in the team, senior women, experienced women in government, were ignored or pushed out of any decision making. It was as though they suddenly overnight stopped existing when the Matt Hancocks and the Boris Johnsons and the Dominic Cummingses of this world started to wave their you-know-whats around. So I think an awful lot of women will have experienced something like that, maybe not in the acute environment of a COVID pandemic, a national health emergency, a national everything emergency as it turned out to be. But lots of you will have worked in hospitals, in all kinds of jobs where there is an urgent need for effectiveness and efficiency. So there's one element to it, which is just being in that environment at all, which is deeply unpleasant. But there's another thing that she alludes to, which is that she believes firmly that women facing domestic abuse, who were identifiable, a lot of them, identifiable at the time, she believes that women died because of the lack of gender diversity, lack of listening, to put it more simply, lack of listening to women in the team that existed. She believes that women and possibly children died needlessly because of that ignorant behaviour. And what I want to know from you, and again I hope it hasn't ever been as bad as she described for you, but I suspect that for some of you it will have been. Were you ever in a position at work where not only was your day-to-day life diminished by misogyny and a toxic environment in the workplace, but did what you were supposed to be doing become dangerous? Were people endangered? I'm thinking of a health setting or a building setting. There can be all kinds of settings where safety is undermined because of someone else's behaviour. If you've experienced that, akin to what Helen McNamara was talking about, I'd love to hear from you on 0345 6060 973, the number as usual. You can text 84850 and you can message me on X at LBC. Speaking of X, we'll talk at about 3:30 to Natasha Clark, our political editor, about that AI conference that's taking place at Bletchley Park. And this evening, Mr. X himself, Elon Musk, is due to be...
For instance, who ask for a pay rise are more likely to be assessed by their colleagues as unlikable, and that is more important in when they're deciding for women about whether they want to work with them. And, Sheila, these are grown-ups who need to take responsibility for their action, but actually this starts in childhood. Fawcett did a commission about gender norms and stereotyping in childhood that found that by the age of 6, children identify traits like intelligence with boys and kindness with girls. So when we bring up our children to expect girls to be kind, to be accommodating,
to be good,
to be good, exactly.
You be good, you can be strong and exciting and adventurous.
Yeah, if you violate that norm, then there is pushback. So women naturally adapt to that. We internalise that to greater or lesser extent. But it's not as simple as just shedding that and suddenly writing an email like a guy. But frankly, if you receive that email that says, you know, for instance, I've seen one about PPE, women need PPE that fits properly. I don't care how politely someone's written it. It's your job to read it and take responsibility for it and fix it, not to wait for someone to come and tell you off. That's taking responsibility and that's leadership.
And again, I think it is important not to be, you know, needlessly rude or rude at all to anybody. Of course, that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is if somebody is in a senior role and they're asking you, or indeed in these circumstances sometimes telling you that that's what needs doing, your job is to just go away and do it. And of course, anyone, male or female, should create an environment in which if someone has a supplementary question, they feel comfortable to ask it. And this isn't about treating everything like it's the army in the middle of a battlefield, but it is about saying, I need it done, you need to do it. Yeah. If you have questions, ask them now.
She's not just sort of someone off the street with an opinion. She's a really senior member of the civil service with an incredible amount of skill and experience, responsible for this area of work. So when she says something, it should be taken seriously. And being a woman in those workplaces, and in all workplaces, does mean that often our expertise, our opinions are undervalued and are not taken as seriously. And that has consequences for us as individual women in the workplace. But as you've already said, much bigger social consequences, because it means bad decisions are made.
I remember having to say to a BBC manager, controller of a network years ago, I said, and this one, by the way, important to stress, this wasn't a problem with the co-presenter that I worked with at the time, in case people start putting two and two together again, fine. But I remember, in relation to the wider team, feeling like I was talking from a soundproof box a lot of the time. Like, things would be said that I had said 2 days before, and I had really emphasised 2 days before. And then somebody would say it and say, it's really urgent that we address this. And I was literally like, are you kidding me? Although I did not say kidding in the meeting. And it was driving me nuts. So I was just thinking, this is like being in a soundproof box. And if you think about what I do for a living and the kind of person I am anyway, if that can happen to me, whose job is to speak, then an attempt to silence someone or sideline them or dismiss them, or actually even without malice, just not pay them the attention you should pay them. It can happen in any walk of life. It's important to say that, isn't it? We're talking about a very senior woman in a very important job in a very important place, number 10 Downing Street. But when we talk about misogyny or sexual harassment and things, women call from who've worked in supermarkets, in schools, for vehicle companies, in hospitals, in GP surgeries, you name it. It is literally everywhere, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's right across the board. And I think your point about being heard, I think, you know, as someone who advocates for women's rights, I didn't know Helen McNamara's name during the pandemic, but I certainly knew and was working alongside women who were saying it is obvious that women are not being taken into account. You know, only 2 of 56 briefings, government press briefings that were held in the height of the pandemic had a woman in the briefing. All of the scientific advisory groups, women were underrepresented, and you could see it in the prioritisation and the restrictions and how they were being rolled out. And of course, women's organisations around the country are saying this, but not being heard. So that experience of raising something, raising it again, and just not being taken seriously happens on the individual and the structural level. And you're right that this happens across the board in our society. Women are still paid on average 10.7% less when they work full-time than men. Women are still underrepresented in the most senior positions in our society. Women are still doing the majority of unpaid caring work. These things are not accidents, they don't happen by chance, they're part of a structure that repeatedly undervalues women.
It would be keen to see from callers whether it happens in our classrooms. I've got a sneaking suspicion it probably happens in our classrooms and in our university departments as well, where they are mixed. And a final point really worth talking about is this isn't just about women enjoying equality, which they should. This is about effectiveness of any workplace, any department, any situation, isn't it? It's more effective if you've got clearly people who are, you have to be capable of the job in the first place, but it's more effective if you have a mixture of people who will come at things with special perspectives, unique perspectives to them. Of course it is. It's just common sense, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, women are over half of the population, so we've got, you know, our fair proportion of skill and talent. And if you are not creating workplaces that enable women to fully participate, you are fighting with one arm behind your back. It just doesn't make sense. And that is borne out exactly in the evidence here of how her insight and experience was dismissed, and we saw it had real consequences.
Thank you so much, Jemima. Thank you for joining me. I'm making a complete hames of your name. I'm so sorry. I need a coffee. I think that's the problem. Jemima Olahavsky. I think I got it right in the end. CEO of the Fawcett Society. And, you know, I have come at this conversation about misogyny because Helen McNamara was talking specifically about it. But a workforce can be toxic and inefficient for other reasons as well. You know, if you think your workforce was imbalanced because of gender, maybe age, or even colour, that comes up a lot as well. You know, let me know your experiences of that wherever you've worked. And I know that the example we started with is at the very, you know, the very top of society in terms of the workplace, but it can happen anywhere. So you tell me your own experiences. 0345 6060 973. It's 119.
This is LBC.
Much like you, I've got a lot to complain about, like open-toe sandals. Who thought that was a good idea? Who wants to look at toes? Adults who drink squash. Listen, you're a fully grown person. But I just got my Sky broadband and I've got no complaints.
Once again, Sky had the lowest number of complaints made to Ofcom for fixed-line broadband. To find out more, visit ofcom.org.uk. We're happy because you're happy.
Oh, hang on though. Noisy eaters. They're annoying.
Sky. Believe in better.
The coins in your pocket started life at the Royal Mint. So can your future of gold ownership. From less than £150, buy and sell gold safely at royalmint.com. With secure storage available on all bullion coins and bars. Buy today to enter a prize draw for a Britannia half-ounce gold bullion coin worth over £800. Visit royalmint.com/wealth. Prize draw minimum purchase, 1 gold bullion coin or bar. T's and C's online.
Buy an approved used Skoda on Solutions PCP at 11.4% APR representative to get an extra £750 towards your deposit. Plus, 2 years servicing, 2 years warranty, 2 MOTs, and 2 years roadside assistance to use when driving to places like your 2-year-old's tutu party in Tooting tomorrow. Available now until November 5th, so visit your local retailer today. Skoda. Indemnities may be required. Available at participating retailers. Valid for vehicles aged up to 8 years old and up to 100,000 miles at activation. Excludes EMEA. Skoda Finance. Toodaloo.
You hear that? That's the sound of your energy use going in reverse. Rewinding, reducing. We're OVO, an energy company that wants you to use less energy. Some may see that as a bit backwards, but we like to see things differently. Join us and see energy from a different angle. OVO.
Okay, class, James. Well, that's trending. It's fantastic.
Growing up with phones isn't easy. EE-Learn has the tools to help kids' well-being, studies, and every kind of lesson. For every kid on any network. Search EE-Learn.
Hey, Harry. Hello, mate. Got any tips to get lucky tonight? Can't be giving away all my secrets. What I do is slap on some spray and wax the old barney back. That's how I won the biggest jackpot of them all, that right, Simon? I meant get lucky at the casino. Oh, well, the casino's more than luck, pal. But your best bet is to head to BetVictor and check out their online games. All the thrill of the tables from the comfort of your favourite armchair. Listen to Harry and make your best bet at BetVictor Casino. 18 plus, be gambling away.
Shelagh Fogarty on LBC.
Vicky has called from Leeds. We're talking about misogyny in the workplace, and like I say, it can be just deeply irritating and unfair from the woman's perspective.
Podcast with me, Amy Gledhill.
And me, Ian Smith. I come from the northern town of Goole.
And you might be able to tell from my accent, I come from Hull.
And to our shame, we have been living in London now for ages.
Too long, and we want to catch up with all the news that's been going on up north. This is Northern News.
Hello everybody and welcome to Northern News Live!
Yay!
the O2 Arena. My name's Ian Smith.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say that.
You've got to, please. And my name is Amy Gledhill, and it's a real pleasure to be here at the Millennium Dome.
Yes.
How's it going in the balcony? Yeah.
Amy, what have you been up to this week? What's your news?
I wouldn't tell you this if I had anything else going on, but I was thinking, what have I been up to? And right, this is a story in 2 parts. Basically, I live in a block of flats where there's a very passive-aggressive concierge who sends an email about 2 times an hour. Do you know what I mean? Like, can the owner of this car move this? Can people not do this? Can you... Right?
Are they okay though?
But these emails come in and I haven't opened one for about 6 months because it's never me unless it's all me, and that's why there's so many, and I'm like, delete, delete, delete. I'm going to keep setting bonfires in my flat, what? So these emails are coming through and they tell you like when work is structured in the building and all this. I don't bloody look. Anyway, I had the flat to myself and I was too hot.
Yeah.
So what I've done is I think this is a good tip actually, I got a baking bowl. What's that called? A bowl?
that soundbite perfectly summarises what this podcast is like. What's that called? A bowl?
Is there a different name for that?
It's like half a globe, isn't it, a bowl? Like a dish.
Yeah, like a southern hemisphere of a globe, yeah.
But a big bowl. Yeah.
Thought you'd need some dough in if you're making a big pizza. I got that. Water, ice from my ice machine, which I do mention on the podcast. I'm so excited I've got an ice machine. It ruins the day because it's so loud. But ignore that. So I've got my globe with my water, my ice. I've got socks, clean socks. I'm putting the socks in the water and I'm lifting a tit, I'm putting a sock, I'm letting the tit drop. Next sock, I'm lifting the tit, putting a sock and letting the tit drop. I'm putting it behind my neck. Any folds I've got, they've got socks over my shoulders, socks around my neck, got a sock on my head. I have got wet ice, but it's so good, ice cold wet socks. All over my person, right? And I'm laid on the sofa, just absolutely like a dying dog, just like, Anyway, it turns out one of these emails was saying that work has been scheduled. And this man who's on the outside of the building comes up a ladder and he just looks in. And I'm just there, just naked, covered in socks. And we're like, I didn't move because the socks were sort of balanced. The first thing that went through my head is, if I move all the socks are going to fall off. So I just sort of I did like half a sit up and we just sort of made eye contact, and then he popped his head back around the wall. And then it was like, right, well, what do I do now? Because he's seen everything.
Other than the bits the socks were covering.
Yeah. Thankfully quite a lot of bits.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever looked worse as a human. Do you know, what I found really baffling is, like, I don't know who this worker is, I don't know who this guy is. For some reason it mattered to me that he'd seen me looking like crap. And it's like...
I wouldn't say you're looking crap, I'd say you're looking bizarre. I don't think he's going, oh, she looks shit. He's going, what the fuck is going on there? I know she's got socks on her. I know what's happening. I could see there's a big bowl of ice. Is that a bowl? I don't know.
It's like sort of a half globe.
But yeah, I think you would have just thought, what is happening?
You know, there's them pictures you get of the blobfish.
Yeah.
I was like, a red hot blobfish was covered in socks, and he saw it, and then I was sort of like led, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And then for some reason, because I just decided, he might have to come back round, and I didn't want to go to the window to close the blinds, so I just rolled off the sofa and just like a commando soldier, just like went and just laid in the hallway because there's no windows there.
Oh.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. I think I'd have pretended to be dead.
Oh, yeah.
And because I think he would have thought she's been killed and that murderer's like MO. It's the sock killer.
The hot sock killer.
The hot sock killer. He only murders people who have got an ice machine. Yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it was a sort of neutral experience, really, but it was just more baffling because I didn't know what to do, and then he never came back round. So whatever work had to be done outside that, he's gone. Fuck it, leave it. We'll leave that. We'll leave that. But yeah, I didn't know if he was coming back, so I did lay in that hallway for an hour and a half. What have you been up to?
Well, it's different news.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah, I'm just like, well, my anecdote's going to seem boring now.
Imagine if your anecdote was, I was doing some work on a block of flats.
Comedy's not going well for me. I'm having to do maintenance work on the side, and I'm taking time off because I'm mentally scarred by someone trying to mummify themselves slowly. No, my dad sent me a link. He said I've had a dinosaur named after me.
Oh.
Genuine headline. New dino, Ian Smithy. They've added an I. Ian-y. Like, if it was Ian-y, I'd be like, I wouldn't even register that, really. Ian Smithy. That's mad. I'm not going to lie to you. A little bit of where my ego was at the time. I'd just been nominated for the Edinburgh Comedy Award, and I thought, well, they've named it after me. They've named it after me, even though Ian Smith is a very common name. A newly discovered plant-eating dinosaur has been named Ian Smithy after Janus, the two-faced Roman god. So I've gone on his Wikipedia, and he's not alive anymore.
The Roman god?